advantage that he got from his second hatchery, but we're gonna see how these fights go. Frozen Max only has 4 mutas and Pete has 5, I think, at the moment. I've got Frozen Max's hotkeys, by the way. Just a random point I'd like to make. These are interesting hotkeys. Okay, takes out an extra Zergling. Pete sort of microing around randomly, trying to get a positional advantage, but not really getting anything out of it. Pete has a lot of minerals, actually. He should expand right now, probably, because he's got the unit advantage and is able to pressure Frozen Max. While when Frozen Max tried to expand, it didn't work because he didn't really have any sort of unit advantage that he could press and get a better economy with. So mutas are just sort of chilling around Frozen Max's base. Pete has a couple Scourge out that he uses both of them on one muta. There's a cloning technique that I showed in one of my FP VODs with probe splitting. You can use that for Scourge as well. For mutas, if you one Scourge hit gets them down to 10 health, so it's always best to split one onto each muta if you can, and then use your mutas to finish them off. Pete has a lot of minerals at this point, while Frozen Max has a lot of gas. It's a pretty close game now at this point, actually. Pete's sort of running around uselessly again. But those Scourge actually really turn the tide of the battle. 220 damage right there on the mutas makes a huge difference. But Pete only has 3 mutas left, so he won't be able to do much more harass before Max's reinforcements arrive, as well as his mutas are injured. Yeah, that's another important. That's basically Defender's advantage, that if you're near your own base, your reinforcements will arrive faster. Pete trying to go for drones, but, like, Frozen Max has too many mutas to make this effective, so he's just running away and regrouping. Pete making some lings, and, he doesn't have Zergling speed still. He's trying to put all his gas and minerals into mutas. Well, obviously not minerals because he has too many minerals, but he's trying to put all his gas into mutas. But those weren't mutas and he has gas, so don't know what's going on there. Now it seems like Frozen Max has the muta advantage. I think that at this point the earlier gas that Frozen Max got, he got his gas really early, before his spawning pool, so that allowed him to have more gas later in the game. Pete actually asked why he had less gas. He noticed he had less gas, and he asked why, and I forgot. I totally forgot that. And many people would probably forget that such a small build order difference could make this big a difference later on, but indeed it can. Yeah, now that's the point where we pause and it bugs normally if you don't have a special plugin. Pete targeting the Spire to, hopefully he can stop muta production, because if he can make mutas and his opponent can't, he can use that time to, destroy his opponent's mutas and pressure their base. Pete manages to snipe the Spire with a bunch of Zerglings, which I think, no, they do not have speed yet, but he is upgrading Zergling speed, and he has added a 3rd hatchery in his main. He really should be, well, no, at this point it's too late to take his expansion, but earlier on he could have really pressed his advantage and took his expansion earlier. I guess since he has so many extra minerals, he's making a lot of Zerglings to sort of harass and do things with. But it's really sort of suiciding them into Sunkens at this point. Now Frozen Max still has a pretty big immunity advantage. So Pete's pretty behind at this point. But Pete has some Scourge flying in. Whoa, where did those come from? He's Scourging the mutas. Again, you should always try to split one onto each. But, you know, he split okay there. And, like, you can tell the difference, really. Frozen Max is moving out with the Zerglings, and Pete is suiciding his Zerglings into a Sunken. There big muta war in Pete's base. Never mind. A bunch of Zerglings hatching for Pete, which is not what he needs right now to defend Mutas, as, if you were not aware, Mutas cannot be attacked. Zerglings cannot attack Mutas, just in case you didn't know. So, Pete's gonna survive this attack, not by much. Wait, let's see if he does. If he's got another, yeah, he's got another Muta and some Scourge coming soon, so he'll be able to survive this attack. But that was a pretty, at this point, it's pretty close, actually. Frozen Max has a lot of money, a lot of gas, actually, so it's not really that close, because he can just turn all his gas into Mutas at some point. He's making, oh, wait, never mind, he lost his Spire, and he is just rebuilding it. So that's sort of a big disadvantage for Frozen Max. As, if Pete were to take advantage of this right now, he would be able to do a terrible, terrible damage to Frozen Max's drone. And terrible, terrible damage, by the way. If you haven't seen the StarCraft 2 battle reports, Dustin Browder, the lead developer, and the main commentator for those, he always is talking about terrible, terrible damage and terrible, terrible things. And I suggest you go check those out if you're interested in how StarCraft 2 is going. Sorry. That was a random sidetrack. Back to the game. Bunch of Zerglings running around Frozen Max trying to do harassment, but Pete has a lot more Zerglings than Frozen Max, so and Frozen Max doesn't have speed, so Pete will not be able to, Max will not be able to really do anything. Pete isn't really pressing this time where Frozen Max has no air defense, which is really, this could have decided the game if Pete was able to kill a bunch of drones before Mutas were out. Like, he really should not be worrying about these Zerglings, as he has a Zergling and a hatchery advantage, allowing him to pump more Zerglings and even afford a Sunken pretty easily. Neither of them have made more drones in a long time, and I'm actually sort of surprised, since Pete has 3 hatcheries, that he doesn't, like, expand and make some drones. He's not really, I think Pete's mistakes so far have been not really using his advantage when he could. Scourge trying to go after an Overlord. He's trying to snipe the Spire again, but, it won't get done in time. The Mutas will get done in time. He almost snipes it, actually. He gets it down to 27 health. 27 health, in case you are, 30 out of 600, in case you are not aware. That's 5% of its health, which is a very small number. If you didn't know that 5 was a small number, you just learned some simple math today. While Frozen Max now has the Muta advantage, he just lost the Spire again, but he has 5 more Mutas coming. So Frozen Max is going to have 10 Mutas versus Pete's 0. And, in case you were, Pete's getting Carapace, actually, and he already has the attack upgrade. It's pretty interesting. By the way, Zerg versus Zerg pro tip, get Carapace first. Not meaning to bash on you, Pete, of course, but Carapace is better for Muta versus Muta battles because of the bounces. Something to do with percentages. The bounces don't gain any damage from the first attack, while your armor will help against the bounces exponentially compared to the attack upgrade. Pete is sneaking an Expo at the top right. That is basically a last-ditch effort to... Hopefully, if he manages to waste enough time, his economy could even get back to even with Max's. And that's a good thing. That's what he wants to do. Max has no Spire and is not attempting to rebuild it at this point. He's not really doing much of anything right now except for making some Zerglings. And destroying Pete's base, obviously. Pete trying to hold him off with Mutas. Not really doing very much. Pete really needs to, start harassing with his Mutas more. That was his main problem in this game. Spire being targeted, he's probably not going to cancel Carapace in time. So that's 150 lost right there. A bunch of Zerglings come out of nowhere. He's probably going to try... this is actually pretty critical. If he's able to do a lot of damage with these Zerglings and he still has a couple Mutas left, he might... and get his economy back up at his new expansion, he might be able to stay in the game, but it's not likely at this point. Don't look at the replay progress bar in the bottom right corner. Just for the record, try not to look at that ever. It's very annoying, and you will spoil yourself as to how long the games are.